Welcome back to Bleach Anime Review. This is special number 2. Yep, last special I did was a year ago when I talked about the final arc of the Bleach manga. This one is basically going to talk about something that was actually done by Kubo before he did Bleach. It was a short-lived series that lasted from 1999 and ended in 2000. I heard the series was canceled due to low sale, despite the fact when I read it, this was a damn good series. It's just too bad that the series got canceled. Now, yeah, this is Kubo's first weekly series, and that is Zombie Powder. Yep, Zombie Powder. A 26-chapter manga collected in these 4 books here. Here's Volume 1. Volume 2, 3, and 4. They not only collect, believe it or not only the 26 chapter series, but also his one-shots he did before he did Bleach. Like he's overall done about 5, at least, let's see, how many one-shots has he done? Kubo? I think he's done about 5 or 6. He's done at least 4. And his first 3 one-shots are collected in these books. Yep. The first one-shot, besides, of course, what happens in the actual main series, is collected in here, in Volume 3. This one collects the one-shot, Rune Master Ultra. Yeah, it's just a one-shot. I'm a little surprised. I'm not that surprised it isn't here because, well, Kubo did it, so why not do it? This one-shot really means nothing to the actual series itself. It's just something that kind of loosely sets up what's something else. It's unknown if this is set in the same continuity as Bleach. I know Burn the Witch is. This series is not. Yes. From what I've heard, the series was canceled due to the fact this was a commercial failure in Japan. Yeah. And like usual Shonen Jump, yes, this has been a common thing with them for years, that they only care about Japan. They don't care about the fact that this series may not be selling well in Japan. It sells really well over here. This was a commercial success here, but not in Japan. So, Access series. And then 1 year after the series ended, Bleach came out. Yep. I had heard about this series. Now, is this series terrible? No, it is not. It's actually a really good series. Got a good premise. The main character, who is this guy here in the cover, I know that this library tech covers up. His name is Gamma Actuba. He is a bounty hunter, and he's looking for these rings of the dead. There's about 12 of them. And over the course of the 12 chapters, he only finds about 3. Seriously, he only finds 3. The first chapter, just a standalone one. And then he goes and he finds a female reporter. Her name is Ophelia. Yeah, this is the cast of the entire series, of this very brief series. Yes, there's not many characters. Aside from the main character, we also have John Elwood Shepard, C.T. Smith, Wolfganga Leah Gatto, and this guy who's technically the main villain of this entire series because he's almost actually in more than a chapter. His full name is Berganta Bronx Bertulli Baumunk. Yes, the thing with Wolfina, who is the female reporter, when she's first introduced, she is this character right here. They actually have on the cover of Volume 4. Yeah, this is her. And at one point, she was actually, after they concluded her arc, when they saved her brother. Yeah, Elwood, who was actually traveling with Gamma, was going to fly. Was like, "Oh, you ladies, man." Yeah, and it's heavily implied that she has a thing for Gamma. Yeah, it's heavily implied. And then toward the end of the series, they run into a little girl who's about 12 who's claiming to be Gamma's lover, despite the fact they've never slept together. Yeah, they confirm that they've never slept together because even he thinks it's icky. And he says, "Yeah, how about a reunion kiss?" And he says, "Not until you're 16." I thought that was so hilarious. I don't think you would mind kissing the cheek from her, but not kissing the lips. Yep. This overall was a really good series. Now, when I look at the main character, design-wise, he looks kind of like Ichigo. I'm sure that Kubo basically based his design on him, basically his face and the fact his long hair. He probably got the took long hair from him and gave it to the final Zangetsu form that Ichigo had at the end of the Roncar arc that he had. There was one character when I saw her in here. She's actually appearing in this one. When I first saw her, I'm like, Soy Feng, what are you doing here? This is not Soy Feng, believe it or not. This is a completely different character who's got pretty much the same design of her. Yeah, when you see this character, does she look like Soy Feng to you? I'm sure that Kubo probably based Soy Feng on this one character. And she's a doctor who's going to help out Wolfang's brother, who's got a ring of the dead, in his head. And her payment to her is to have her experiment on her body for a whole year. Yeah. But over the course, you see lots of action scenes. Him fighting this evil circus was basically disbanded at the end of that particular arc. And also Wolfang hates politicians because the mayor of the town she was staying in, apparently he decided to block off one of the easiest routes to the hospital where our brother really needed to go to the hospital. So instead of allowing her to simply just pass on through, because it's an emergency, the cops were so stupid. So basically after that, she decided never to trust politicians ever again. In the case of him, the main character, he's only after the zombie powder itself to basically make himself immortal. In the case of, they also point out the Ring of the Dead. Yeah, they also do something, and this is never explained in the series due to the fact the series got canceled. Apparently, when Wolfina touched one of the Rings Dead, nothing happened to her, because normally when someone touches one of these rings, the skin boils and basically almost nearly kills them. The only reason why he's allowed to actually touch them with his robotic arm, because I think this may have happened to her, because as far as I know, a lot of the characters never fully explored due to the series getting canceled. But I personally would have liked it if they would have explored this series a little bit more. I would think Kubo, since I'm sure he has time, maybe he could revive the series. There's nothing that says he can't. I mean, yes, the series ended roughly 18 years ago, but there's nothing that's stopping it from bringing back the series. In the case of if it could cross over Bleach, he could do it if he wanted to. After all, he created the series. He created Bleach. The only writer I can think of who's actually had both his works actually cross over each other was actually writer Fairy Tail when he had the cast of Fairy Tail crossover with the cast of Raid Master. In the case of Kubo, I could see this happening, but here's the thing. This takes place, looks like it's sort of like a Wild West. I mean, it's said at the beginning it takes place in the year 900, I think it is. Let's see if I can find the date here. It takes place in, it says right here, it says 716 AE, and it's implied this is basically an alternate timeline. I mean, the only way Bleach can cross over this thing is basically via portals. That's the only thing I can think of. Where somehow the Sakaimon, where Ichigo and this group going through it, and they just happen to end up in this dimension. But, yeah. The only way I can possibly see Kubo basically advancing the story, because the way the series ended, you could tell more story here. I'm sure Kubo had plans for it, but due to the series not selling too well, he couldn't do anything because Shonen Jump canceled his series. Like I said, due to low sales because it was deemed a commercial failure in Japan. Despite the fact over here, so perfectly fine. So like hotcakes over here. But Shonen Jump doesn't care about Western sales. They have never cared about it at all. Despite the fact that, now, I think this is Viz Media who actually did this one. I think they're the ones, yeah, it's Viz Media. Yeah, Viz Media is the one who publishes these. And I'm sure Viz Media like, really? This is it? Only 4 books? Wow. But short series. At least Bleach lasts longer than this. Bleach lasted 606 chapters. This was 26. Yeah. I mean, the way the premise sounded, you could easily last almost as long as Bleach did. It's a possibility. But yeah. In the case of the one-shots themselves, let's talk about these one-shots. Let's let's talk about the first 3 of 4 he's actually published, which I have the 3 of them here. Rune Master. Let's talk about this one. The story for this one is, let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, the way these one-shots basically ended, it's kind of set up where you could do more story, but due to the fact that probably Kubo was either not allowed to or whatever. Yeah. Rune Master Ultra. Yeah. It's a short story that he came up with. I don't know when he came up with this thing. Yeah, it's just some story. It's some of these one-shots, and I am going to review Burn the Witch when I get a chance as the 3rd special for this. But as for Design Powder itself, this is a fantastic series, and I think that I'm not sure why it didn't sell too well in Japan. Yeah, I have no idea, but it could have left a good more series. I mean, Wolfia basically heavily implied that she may have a thing for Gamma, but never explored. As a matter of fact, hardly anything. I mean, the only thing explored was the premise of the series. That was basically thoroughly examined throughout the course of these chapters. And when you finish reading, it's like, really? That's it? Yeah. If you didn't know that about the series being canceled, you're probably like, where's the rest of the story? Why isn't there more chapters? Yeah. Well, despite the fact now, one thing I do praise that Viz Media does is that they say it's the first series from the creator of the smash hit manga Bleach. I do praise him for putting that back in the book. Yep. What rating do I give the Design Powder series? I give it a 9 out of 10. It's a fantastic series that could have. The premise is interesting and could have explored a bit more. Could this be adapted to anime? At the length it had? Probably not. If it could, if they did adapt it, it probably won't be that many episodes. If they adapt like 2 chapters an episode, I mean, if they did it, it probably last maybe 10, 13 episodes at least. Yeah, that's as far as I can think it probably could last for. Excuse me, but then like we're after like, what else can you do? But I do at least praise the people who collected these books. We're actually throwing his one-shots as well, which isn't a bad idea to do. I mean, yeah, if you look at the Bleach series, Bleach had several one-shots that are connected to it, but these one-shots are really nothing to do with the actual series. It's not the first manga series I've actually read where they actually include one-shots that have nothing to do with the actual series, collecting the actual book. Let's see. I think the only one I could think of was probably... They did this also for Sure Kenshin as well, where at the end of the series they had a sneak preview of Bushido Rukin, the first chapter of it. And they did the same thing for, at the end of Bushido Rukin, they had a preview of the writer of that series, his 3rd manga series, which was Embalming the Tale of Frankenstein. I may review that someday if I get a chance to, well, read it anyways. But yeah, not much else to say about Design Powder. I do recommend checking it out. It's not a bad series. I'm surprised no one talks about this thing. I've heard maybe a couple people talk about it, but I think the series should be talked about, and maybe someone can convince Kubo to maybe continue the series, either in a one-shot or probably a mini-series, a series of mini-series. He could do it as a monthly series to give more time, but it depends on him if he wants to revive the series. Now, the only writer I can think of who actually did a continuation of a previous series has been 2 writers. The writer Tokyo Ghoul did this with Tokyo Re, and of course the writer of Fairy Tail did the same thing with Fairy Tail Century Quest. Yeah, this could happen. It could. At least Burn the Witch takes place in the continuity of Bleach. This one, no, it does not. It has nothing to do with Bleach at all. But I would say that, and this is just a theory, that Kubo actually used designs from this series for the Bleach characters. In the case of Wolfenia, I would probably say that for her, I would say that probably design-wise, with the exception of her hair, probably used for Rengiku. That's probably my guess. Probably use ideas for her for Rengiku. That's my personal theory. As the rest of the characters, can't think of anybody else, but yeah. That's really it for this particular review. Stay tuned for special number 3 when I get a chance to do. I'll talk about Burn the Witch, that particular one-shot. But what about the other one-shots? They're not too bad. Nothing much else to write at home about. They're okay. They're not terrible, but Gotta give high praise for Viz Media for actually putting these one-shots in here, and Weekly Shonen Jump for doing it for the Shonen Jump for Weekly Shonen Jump when they collect these things over in Japan. Praise them for that. Yep. So until we see the next review, which is gonna be a Comic Corner, do see you there.